Today's episode has been brought to you by Schedulicity.
I am super excited about today's episode, Connected Yoga Teachers. It is also brought to you by Yomassage. Now, you are going to hear more from Tiffany and Katherine, the founders of Yomassage. First, I want to welcome you. Before we dive in, as you can tell, I'm super excited. So hello and welcome, whether you're new to the podcast or a weekly regular listener. This is the Connected Yoga Teacher podcast, and I'm your host, Shannon Crow. I'm a mom of 3, a yoga teacher, and a trainer and consultant who works for yoga teachers. This podcast was created for you so that you can connect to the information and the inspiration every single week and feel supported as you navigate these sometimes very tricky jungles of yoga teacher entrepreneurship. This week, I have some really special guests on the podcast. They're a new monthly sponsor, and I wanted to have them on here so that all of us can learn more about what they do, their offerings in the yoga world, and to really hear some new ideas that I'm excited to introduce here on the podcast. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk with Tiffany and Katherine is because a lot of you have been asking, what about touch in a yoga class? Yomassage fills a really unique niche in the health and wellness space and seeks to bring together the principles of yoga-like focus on the breath, pranayama, and the yoga philosophy of looking within, and also the benefits of massage or therapeutic touch. Tiffany Ryan and Katherine Parker join me today to share more about how they came to discover this real specialty niche and how they serve their clients and the benefits that their clients receive with Yomassage. We also talk about how yoga teachers can incorporate this area into their current yoga offerings to their students. Today, you're going to hear me learning how mindful touch is different than a yoga teacher providing adjustments or assists, and why yoga teachers stand to benefit from learning how to incorporate touch into their classes. If you are out on the go, walking, running, driving, don't worry, you don't have to take notes. We do that for you. All of the show notes are at theconnectedyogateacher.com/159. When you go to any show notes page, you can also see how you can leave a review. This is one of the best ways to say thank you to a podcaster. Leave a review in iTunes. There's also the option to leave a review on our Facebook page. We appreciate each and every review, and I want to give a little special shout out to someone who left a review for us. So I'm sending a special thank you to Marit from the Netherlands. Thank you so much for leaving this review, Marit. Marit says, I love this podcast. The topics are very interesting and varied. It shows me new, refreshing points of view on a certain theme every week. Although the episodes about yoga, body, and mind interest me more, I learn the most from the episodes about business and entrepreneurship. Many, many thanks for that, Shannon. Moreover, listening to Shannon is very pleasant and fun because she is such a warm and fascinating person with a beautiful voice. Please continue this way. Oh, this is super sweet, Marie. Thank you so much for taking the time to leave a review. I love how you said that you are more interested in learning about yoga, body, and mind, but that you learn more from the episodes about business and being an entrepreneur. I get it. That is exactly one of the reasons why I'm fascinated about learning more and more about my own business and sharing that in the podcast. I also want to give a shout out of thank you to our regular sponsor, Schedulicity. They make this podcast happen each and every week, and I just saw that they were on ABC, so they had an ad on television recently. Way to go, Schedulicity. Way to show us how we can keep striving in our business to get word out there and to invite people. Here's our hot tip of the week from Schedulicity.
Hello, Connected Yoga Teachers. This is Jamie with the Schedule C Hot Tip of the Week. Sometimes people assume that a career in yoga means only being a yoga teacher. And while you may spend a lot of time teaching group classes, there are so many different ways to market your skills. You might offer one-on-one training or online consulting sessions, as well as various workshops or retreats. When you use Schedulicity, you manage your group classes and one-on-one services in one place, opening up your schedule to the many possibilities in your yoga career.
Thank you, Schedulicity. Now let's dive in and meet Tiffany and Katherine. Tiffany Ryan and Katherine Parker are the co-founders of Yomassage, which is based in Portland, Oregon. I have a very special love for Portland because that's where I met my love, Sean. I just have to throw that in there. You have amazing donuts, a really cool sign, a lot of rain, I noticed, and sunshine, and just really very cool people. Okay, so let's get back to this. Tiffany and Katherine offer a really innovative approach to wellness that combines yoga and massage therapy. Katherine has a background in Arabic and Middle Eastern studies and was on the path to becoming a lawyer when she shifted gears and decided to open a yoga studio. Tiffany has always had a passion for helping others. She has a background in social work and massage therapy. It was completely by chance that the paths of Tiffany and Katherine crossed in Portland, and through this, they created Yomassage. They created classes where they offered a mix of massage and yoga, and these classes became so popular that they decided to offer trainings to other wellness professionals as well. So massage therapists can take these trainings, yoga teachers can, anyone who wants to learn Yomassage, it can stand on its own. Fast forward to today, they offer a variety of Yomassage classes and trainings all across the US to create affordable options for self-care through bodywork. So I am so excited that you get to meet Katherine and Tiffany and to hear how they took these passions, wove them together, and then created this offering. Welcome to the Connected Yoga Teacher Podcast, Tiffany and Katherine. It's great to have you both here today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Yeah, thank you.
I am super excited that we get to dive in. We've done a few podcast episodes around the topic of touch in a yoga class. There are many different opinions about this, and this is why I'm excited that we get to bring this in and talk about it a little bit more today. So can you tell me, maybe Tiffany, if you want to start, how did you get into what you do now? What is the work that you do now, and how did you get there?
Yeah, so Katherine and I are co-founders of Yomassage, and it's kind of a weird story on how we both got here. But I'm actually a social work professor. I have my PhD in social work, and I did that. I did professor work for quite a while. I did direct practice work and policy work, and then I took a little break and traveled for a while. I moved onto a sailboat with my family and took a break from life. There was a lot going on. And when I was on the boat, I realized that, when I had tough times in my life, I turned to yoga and massage. And we had an opportunity during hurricane season to slow down and go somewhere else. And I decided I wanted to go to massage school and yoga teacher training. So I did that in Costa Rica. And then we came back to the States, and that's when I met Katherine. And, when I was in massage school and yoga teacher training, I really made the connection of how those things are so intertwined with social work, or should be, in terms of mental health and well-being and all of that good stuff. And so I was looking for a place to teach yoga, and I contacted Katherine. She had a studio not too far from my house, and we chatted, and she told me afterwards that that during the interview to teach yoga, I actually talked about massage a lot and how important regular touch is, and so I didn't hear from her for probably about 3 weeks, and then she emailed me and said, what do you think about making a workshop where we combine the two? touch and massage and yoga. And so we developed this class, and it really evolved over time. We did the class for probably about 6 months in her studio, and we started incorporating more mindfulness work, some self-massage techniques, and it was really popular. People were coming back, and we were noticing, the types of people that really were enjoying this and wanting to come back, right? And busy working professionals, who don't get touch in their regular lives, maybe single working professionals, older women. I mean, we really ran the gamut of people who came to the class, but the recurring customers who every week they were like, yes, this is my thing I do. It really seemed were people who, really needed and enjoyed the touch aspect. So we decided after about 6 months that we needed to develop this into a training. So that's what we have now. Our business, Yomassage, we train not only massage therapists in our signature class, but also yoga instructors and meditation teachers, and really anybody in the wellness arena who wants to facilitate a mindful touch by Yomassage class, which does not incorporate massage, but it does incorporate mindful light touch. So yeah, that's kind of a long story, but that's how we made our way here.
Well, it's so cool to hear the journey. I love how there's like this sailboat journey that is part of it. I feel like we could go on and on about that for a long time.
We could.
So, Katherine, what is your experience like? Where did your yoga journey start? And were you using touch before, or were you doing massage? How did that come about?
So I actually moved out here to Portland about a little over 3 years ago, and I was planning on going to law school. And then I started working at a law firm, and I just hated it. And I was looking for something else to do, either like while I was in law school or instead of going to law school. And I walked by this empty place that was for rent one day, and I was like, oh, that would be the perfect yoga studio. So we contacted the owner and rented the space like a month later and decided to open up a yoga studio. And I think I met Tiffany really just like a few months into first opening up the studio. I had taken my yoga teacher training about a year before I opened the studio, and it was just something that I was doing for fun. It wasn't really anything that I thought that I would, make into a business or anything. As far as like the types of yoga that I had been doing, I had taken some Ashtanga yoga classes that I really liked. And that was the only time that I've experienced really like someone touching me in a yoga class. And it's, have you ever taken an Ashtanga class where they basically like wrap their arms around you and like fold you into these positions? So that was really interesting. And I don't know how I really felt about that at the time. And then I took some other classes where people would just kind of like give you a little temple rub and final relaxation, or kind of like adjust your neck. And that was the stuff that I really, really, really liked. So whenever Tiffany and I got to talking that first day we met, I was like, the combination of the touch and the restorative yoga would be almost like receiving that kind of like shavasana feel good touch like throughout the whole class. And that's really what we wanted it to feel like, is just that relaxing touch the whole time. So, that's where it started. And it, we did focus on training massage therapists at first. And then recently we've, got into training yoga teachers to just do this like light, feel good touch that's, good for the nervous system and, gives you that feeling of connectedness. And, it's just really, really nice and relaxing and comforting.
That's amazing. What a story. I love how your story was also like, you didn't go on a sailboat, but you were going in one direction, one path, and then like, oh no, let's do this other thing.
Yeah.
So right now you're offering, is it separate, this training for massage therapists versus yoga teachers? Are those two different groups, or is that one group that will come together?
We do have two different groups. So we have the Yomassage group, which is massage, and that's massage therapists or physical therapists, chiropractors, anyone who can manipulate tissue. And then our other group is mindful touch, and that's really for primarily yoga teachers, but Reiki, meditation, really anyone who wants to use, their love for healing and helping people to, facilitate this touch.
Right. So there's been a lot going on in the yoga world that is about touch in so many different aspects. And I've even heard in the physiotherapy world, because I work with a lot of physical therapists or physiotherapists with pelvic health professionals. And from a lot of people, I hear, let's just not touch anyone because it would be much safer. Like, then we're looking after everyone who's dealing with trauma. We're not crossing any lines, we're not crossing any boundaries. So, Tiffany, do you want to speak to why you think that this is maybe, and tell me your thoughts on this?
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of thoughts. So it's really interesting, actually, what you just said, that way, if we don't touch anybody, that way we're addressing appropriately people who have trauma. Well, I would argue the opposite of that, because part of experiencing trauma is that your nervous system is dysregulated. And often you're caught in the sympathetic nervous system mode, which is like the fight or flight, right? And touch is known, is proven in the research to help the body enter into the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest, relax, digest, all that. Now, of course, that touch has to be done in a trauma-informed way, right? You have to be very mindful, considerate, intentional, all of that, to be able to provide touch that's helpful to somebody who's experienced trauma and is stuck in that sympathetic nervous system mode. But it's a huge, it's so impactful, touch is, and it really can help people heal. And so I would say it's the opposite. If you're withholding touch from people, that's just contributing to this larger problem of touch deprivation. I don't know if you've heard, there's a term called skin hunger in the literature, and it's a real thing. People are touch deprived and skin hungry because we're not being touched, because people are scared to touch. and we have more technology. People are working remotely, so there's a real lack of touch. And I don't think it's anything super new. This has been going on for a while. But it's something that people aren't aware of, I think. We've kind of been talking about this idea of, we know we need to eat nutritiously. We know we need sleep. We know we need exercise. We even know we need meditation. Now, that's kind of becoming more of a mainstream topic, right? But nobody's talking about the need for touch. And it's a biological need for humans. So for people to be saying, no, let's just take touch completely out. There are some people who come to our yoga classes to be touched. That's why they're there. Now, there are some that don't, and they don't want to be. So that's where the conversation needs to happen, right? Is how can we do this in a way? How can we continue to incorporate touch into our lives, but obviously in a safe way, right? A safe and respectful and intentional, mindful way. So yeah, that's kind of my first my first blurb about that. But I'd love to continue the conversation. If you have any questions about the details of all of that.
Well, that's amazing. I just want to highlight that you said earlier you noticed in your own life that you were gravitating towards yoga and massage in the tough spots in your life. I think a lot of us could say the same thing, especially our yoga teacher listeners. And that if we take a different look on things, that maybe it is one of those things like nutrition and meditation, yoga, like we see the benefits of this, and maybe we're not considering touch. I know with my teenagers, I will say to them, hey, I haven't had a hug today. Like I let on like it's for me, but I also know that teenagers aren't receiving the amount of touch that, well, maybe
Yes.
later on, but I'd like them to have this positive touch as well. And so I've always felt like as a parent, that was one of the pieces of raising my kids was this touch that isn't always there, especially with
Exactly.
our older generations, maybe it wasn't there as much.
Mm-hmm.
Katherine, do you want to speak to, because you are the studio owner, what is it like when students come in? How do you know who wants touch, who doesn't, and how do you look after their safety when they're coming into class?
So I found as a yoga teacher before we, started doing Yomassage and mindful touch that I really wanted to touch students because I loved how it felt whenever I was in the class and a teacher did it. But for some reason, it just felt so uncomfortable to me because I was like, oh, what if like I'm not doing it right? What if they don't like it? What if they don't want it? And I would always ask, and I would only do it in like final relaxation. And I'd always say, like, please raise up a hand. I'm going to come around and do some like feel good touches. If you don't want touch, just raise up a hand or put your hand on your stomach. So I'd always offer that and I would know who wanted it. But still, it just felt like they weren't necessarily, I didn't know if they were coming to the class for that, or maybe they were just nervous to raise up a hand. I never knew what they were feeling. And now that we've been training yoga teachers, I get similar feedback from everyone that's like, I felt so uncomfortable. I wanted to touch clients, but I felt so uncomfortable doing it before because I really didn't know how. I didn't know, exactly what I was doing or exactly how they were feeling. And I think that it's really important to have like this additional training that really teaches you about touch, and how to touch and to do it with consent. And really that people have, I think it's really important that you actually have written consent that you're going to be touching them, because in a normal yoga class, you don't have that. Like maybe they do flip over a coin or, whatever you're doing, but it's not, you don't know what's going on with their body. You don't really know, does this person have any injuries? Is there a certain area that they don't want touched? Like maybe they say, I do want touch, but they don't like their face touched or their, neck or something's going on. And as a yoga teacher who maybe has a class of 20 to 40, or even 8 people, you don't know everyone's individual, body and what they have going on. Yes, you could do like a verbal intake, like some yoga teachers say they do, but I've personally I've been to many, many, many yoga classes, and I've never had an intake where, someone's even verbally said like, what's going on? Like, do you have any issues? And then that they would be able to remember, like, even if there's only 5 to 10 people, that even if they were doing a verbal intake, would they seriously be able to remember everything that, someone said? So that's kind of where our part of the conversation comes in, where it's like, okay, we do agree that yoga teachers, should be able to administer this like feel good touch that we all need, but what is the best way to do that? So I think that's a big part of our conversation today.
Yeah. So am I hearing this right, that you have an intake? Like, I'm curious about the details here. Do people show up to class knowing this is going to be a class that will involve touch?
Yes.
So they're signing up already. They know that's part of the thing.
Exactly.
And then they're filling out a form as well that goes through their health information, as well as signing a consent for touch.
So, and in a normal massage, you have a liability waiver that you sign that talks about, all of the different things that could happen from a massage. And then you also have an intake that talks about, your medical history, what, parts of the body do you want touched? What kind of pressure do you like? What parts should I avoid? Are you allergic to any oils or scents? But we don't have that in yoga. So what we created for our mindful touch classes is not really an intense like medical intake, it's really just kind of like a gingerbread man, body front and back. And it says, is there any part of your body that you don't want touched today? And they can write an X over parts of the body. They could write a note that says like, I have a knee injury. Like, that's why I don't want you to touch my knee. Or like, I sprained my ankle, so please don't touch my ankle. Or they can circle like, oh, I love it when you touch my neck, or like, I love it when, you touch my hands. So it's really a preference sheet. I don't need to know like your extensive medical history. I just want to know like, what are your preferences? Are there any areas that I should avoid? We're not doing any like deep pressure or tissue manipulation, so we don't really need to ask about what types of pressure you prefer. And then as far as the liability waiver, it just needs to, they need to be consenting to touch. And maybe if you're working with a studio, that's something that, the studio takes care of. Or if you're doing a class yourself, you just bring those and just have people sign them as they walk in. The gingerbread man thing, they actually keep that by their mat, so that as you're walking around, you glance down and you see like, oh, this person, circled neck, or this person put an X over their feet, so you can reference that and you don't have to memorize it.
Oh, I love this, because I was thinking, okay, if they filled that out on a paper, how would you remember unless you kind of laid the paper out and went and checked it through the class? Okay. The other piece I love about this is that it takes away that whole, oh my gosh, what if I show up to a yoga class, I don't want to be touched, and then all of a sudden the teacher's there, nobody asked consent, and there's touch involved in this class. So you've taken that away completely.
Yeah. And I think the thing that's great about mindful touch is that people know what to expect. So when we train people, there's latitude to make it your own and have your personality in it, but we have a kind of a structured protocol for what you can and cannot do in terms of touch. And like, for example, there was something that seemed sort of similar to what we were doing here. And so I was like, I'm going to go check that class out. And they lifted my shirt up. I was in child's pose, and they lifted my shirt up to rub my back. And I was like, what is happening? Like, no, do not lift my shirt up, And like, it's things like that you would know. When I go to a Mindful Touch by Yomassage class, that's not going to happen, because we train our people, the clothing is a boundary. You never move clothing to access skin. There's a lot of little details that we go through on how we make our clients super comfortable, both physically and emotionally,
Right. That would be shocking. I know that I go see my osteopath, and I didn't know what to expect at first. And he was like, this is in full clothing. So then that just puts this different expectation on what's going to happen. And you're right. Moving clothing then would feel very different than if okay, this is a massage where I take off whatever piece of clothing. Right. It's like, in that moment.
Right.
So what are some of the other things if clothing doesn't get removed? I'm thinking back to my Thai yoga massage training, and I'll make sure to link to an episode that we did with Shai Plonsky talking about how we can incorporate Thai yoga massage, like how that training can really assist yoga teachers. I know another one was, we don't touch anyone in the breast area or in the genital area all around. So is that one of the rules? I'm popping in here for a moment, connected yoga teachers, with a word from today's sponsor, Yomassage.
Hi, this is Tiffany, co-founder of Yomassage here with your touching moment tip. We know doing an intake with clients is important for physical health reasons, but what about mental and emotional health? Especially when incorporating touch, it's important to do an intake prior to class, so you can go into the class ensuring clients feel safe, knowing that you are taking all of their needs into consideration. In a Mindful Touch by Yomassage class, clients fill out intakes with their touch preferences. It's hard to remember every client's preference, so we make sure to set the preference sheet right next to each client's mat. This helps the practitioner feel secure, but it also lets the client know that you're not going to forget what they requested. You can find out more about Mindful Touch by Yomassage and our mission to make therapeutic touch accessible at yomassage.com.
Okay, let's get back into the episode.
So there are some positions where in our trainings, people will be like, oh, you could really access the adductors, which are like the inner thighs, really well here. Or I could really get into the glutes. And it's like, yeah, you could, but we're not going to, because in a Yomassage or in a mindful touch class, the whole purpose of the class is to allow people to enter into a super deep, relaxed state. And touching areas that are close to sensitive areas, that's going to immediately take you out of that.
Right.
And so, so we talk about that. We talk about, some people say, oh, I could take my knee in their back and kind of pull their shoulders back towards me and give them a nice stretch. Well, that's something definitely we don't do in a mindful touch class or a Yomassage class. Our clients are expecting us to use our hands to touch them, nothing else. It can be very kind of triggering for a lot of people to have a knee in their back and their arms pulled backwards,
Right.
It might feel good to some people. That's part of Thai massage, but if that's not what you're expecting, that's not what we should be delivering. Right. And so it's really important to have these, just upfront expectations and communication about what is a mindful touch class. What are you going to experience here? And what's our goal? Right. So, that's really huge for us.
Oh, I love how this discrepancy of this, or this description that you've given, that it's not about the stretch like Thai yoga massage can be.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, so the expectations going in. What about the yoga teacher who feels like, you know what, I love touch. I love getting touch in a yoga class. Therefore, I'd like to give touch, but I haven't taken this training. Like, are there some things that they can do to look after their students? Would you suggest that they have a specific class that is, they know they're signing up and there will be touch involved? Go ahead, Katherine.
I would definitely suggest that you have a class that's specifically for touch. Just because everyone's so different. If you do kind of follow these procedures that we're talking about, like having, the consent, the written consent, having some sort of intake where okay, what each person is, wants touched or doesn't want touched. There are just some other, things that we teach in the mindful touch, like you should really be using hand sanitizer in between each person. You don't want to be touching one person and then touching someone else. And just these little things that make other people feel more comfortable about the touch, because some people want touch, but even in like a Yomassage or mindful touch class, if I'm super relaxed and I don't know what part of the body you're going to be coming around to touch, I know that you're coming to touch me, but I don't know what part of the body. That part's really important. So we always need to announce like what part of the body we're going to be coming around and touching. We need to have open communication with, the client and the teacher. We need the environment to be very comfortable for everyone. And I just feel like it's better in an environment where, the people are coming for the touch. And for me as a teacher, I feel much more comfortable touching my clients whenever I know that they're coming specifically for that touch. Another thing is that we, in the mindful touch and the Yomassage, the research shows that people really benefit from 5 to 15 minutes of touch per day. So that's really important for us to get in kind of like that 10 to 15 minutes of hands-on time per person in the class. So that's something that we strive for, that maybe in a normal yoga class with, a lot more people where the touch isn't the main focus, you're not going to get really close to that. So that part's really important for us as well.
You've highlighted so many important things, Katherine. I love this because the hand sanitizer has always been a question of mine when we used to do like a restorative with touch. I think like we'd kind of plan it out. All right, we want to be working on their faces with clean hands. Like, how can we do that? So I love that you bring that in, as well as announcing, what will be worked on. These are super important things that people can start to think about because this is where touch goes off the rails. This is where someone feels like, okay, you know what? I went to this yoga class and then all of a sudden the yoga teacher, touched me on the ears and I hate my ears being touched. So you've taken away all of the things that can sort of go wrong in a touch situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating also. I read that study of how much touch people needed. And that's why I tell my kids, you need this hug. Like,
yes, I do the same thing with my kids.
I read this thing. It gets harder as they get older, just so you know. Sometimes I just get an eye roll and then they're out the door.
Mm-hmm.
When you said that it's 10 to 15 minutes per person, Katherine, like how do you two organize a class then? Let's say there's an hour-long class. I'm not sure if that's how much a class might be, or an hour and 15 minutes. You must have a cap on your number of people in there.
Yeah.
And how do you prevent like just getting burnt out, feeling like you're going from person to person? Do you want to chat about that, Tiffany?
Yeah, so we do have a ratio that we won't go over because we are aiming to get that minimum amount of touch in. So for a mindful touch class, the ratio is 1 to 10. For a Yomassage class, it's 1 to 5. And then you can have a supporter who provides light touch in a Yomassage class that then you can have like 1 to 8 in a 90-minute class. So we have those ratios for a reason. We're pretty strict about them. And then, sorry, you had a second piece of that question?
I'm just thinking, I remember back to like our yoga and Thai massage, and there were usually 2 of us, and it was usually so busy. Like sometimes we'd almost feel like.
So yeah, we actually, part of our training, we focus a lot on body mechanics because you can really hurt your body going around and like trying to provide touch, bending over and moving from person to person. It can be a lot for the teacher, the practitioner. So we focus a lot on body mechanics. We have, in a 60-minute class, you'll probably only have 4 positions or maybe 5, that you're working through. So they're staying in the positions, for several minutes. And we have a minimum kind of a sweet spot amount of time that each person gets per position, touch per position. So it's nailed down to a science, basically. When we went through and we're doing our classes at Katherine's studio, we really kind of nailed it down and like, okay, here's the sweet spot in terms of how much touch feels like enough, where people aren't like, oh, wait, that's it. Wait, keep touching, but it's still, you're able to then get through the whole class. So yeah, we have kind of this formula that we've developed to make sure everybody gets, the right amount of touch. And as a practitioner, you're just, you have to walk them through a few different positions through the class. You're focusing on your body mechanics. Space in the class is a big thing, making sure it's set up so that you have enough space. So you're not like scrunching down and putting your body into weird positions to try to get where you need to be to serve the clients. And trust me, I've done that. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, my back, like, this does not feel good. So that's a really big piece we focus on because obviously we want people to keep doing these classes and they're not going to if it doesn't feel good for them,
Right. Oh, this is so good. When I used to teach an art of assist training for yoga teachers. And we did this one thing, and you're welcome to use this because I don't teach it anymore. So please take it. We set a timer and it was like, we will touch someone for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and then went all the way up to a minute in this pose. And of course, the 5 second just feels like it's over. And it was amazing because the recipient weighed in on what felt the best to them. And the person who was giving the touch felt like, okay, I could have stepped away much sooner. So it's like usually it takes a little bit of time for them to get into it, but it was a fun little science experiment. So I love that you have this down to the science. Katherine, if I wanted to come to your studio, you still have your studio in Portland?
I actually don't. I sold it a couple months ago. Yeah.
Okay. Let's pretend. Do either one of you have a studio?
We
No,
don't.
but we have studios that we would for sure recommend you go to, and Yomassage and mindful touch practitioners that we could send you to.
Okay, so let's say, Katherine, if I show up to one of the teachers, so it could be anywhere in the world now. We've just taken, because Portland's a little bit of a travel for me to get to. Really fun. If I go to a Yomassage class, a group class, about how much is it for, like, how long is the class? How much does it cost in Portland, let's say?
So the Yomassage classes are more like a massage. It's a way to receive massage in a group environment to make the price more accessible, to make the environment more accessible, to make you feel more comfortable. It's something that a lot of people don't feel comfortable going and receiving a massage, taking off their clothes with a stranger they don't know. So the whole idea was to make everything about the experience more accessible to people. The Yomassage classes really range from about $45 to $80, depending on where the class is, depending on how many people are able to attend the class. Some therapists will say, I only want to do, 4 at a time or 3 at a time, but the max is 5. So, and that will always say in the description, how many people are in the class. But really, I would expect to pay around like $45 to $50 on average for the Yomassage class, where you would have maybe 4 other people in the class with you. And then for mindful touch, it's really designed to be the same price as a yoga class, like to just be on the regular schedule at any yoga studio. There would just be a cap on, the amount of people that can attend. As far as the studios in Portland, there's not a lot of studios that can have much more than 10, mats in them. And that's a pretty average size for classes in Portland is about 10 people. So it's not really like a burden on the studio to say, okay, we can only have 10 people in this class. In other areas of the country, it might be where the studios are bigger and the classes are typically bigger. They might just have, 2 teachers go to that class so they can have 20 people, or even 3 so they could have 30. And they might raise the price a little bit there since they're having to pay, 2 or 3 teachers. But really the idea of the mindful touch class is for it to be on the regular schedule at every studio every day, maybe multiple times a day, so that people can come and receive, the touch that they need for, with just their regular membership, or just, that $15 drop-in or 20 or whatever, their drop-in is in that area.
And so does everyone receive touch in the mindful touch one? Because it sounds like the Yomassage class is more about like, ooh, I'm going to get like a quarter of a massage, basically.
Well, so it's interesting because I think we haven't fully, described what Yomassage or mindful touch is. So it's not only the restorative stretching and the touch and or massage, but we also incorporate mindfulness throughout. So we have guided meditations and themes that our practitioners have access to, and they use throughout the class. There's essential oils. There's maybe hot packs under the neck. It's an experience, right? So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to go get my quarter of a massage. It's like a very deeply relaxing experience that you're going for. And then the other piece that I think we haven't talked about is that we do offer all of our trainings we incorporate trauma sensitive language and body mechanics and all of this stuff into it. But we do also have a separate trauma-informed bodywork course that is about 8 hours that our practitioners can take as well if they want to have either more of that knowledge or just to market a class that way, that they're offering a trauma-informed mindful touch class, So yeah, it's everybody in every mindful touch class, everybody gets touched. That's the point of it, right? That's what makes it special.
Right.
And in every Yomassage class, everybody gets massaged.
The Yomassage, you're aiming for and you're guaranteed at least 15 up to 20 minutes of touch, depending on how many people are in the class. For mindful touch, you're guaranteed like about 10 minutes of touch, and maybe it could be more. So that's what you're coming to the class expecting, that amount of touch. That's what you're going to get.
Right. I'm thinking I would be all in for the Yomassage class. Like, bring it.
Yeah.
As a yoga teacher, if someone wanted to study either one, so it sounds like, are those two different trainings, the Yomassage and the mindful touch? And you have the trauma one. So how many hours are each one of those trainings?
Both of the trainings are 25 hours. They're really similar. The Yomassage and the mindful touch training are really similar. The differences are the class structure, how to run the class, how to teach the class, and then the types of touch that you're going to facilitate. A big portion of the training is about the nervous system, the studies and the research behind touch, stretch, and breath, how to run the class, the mind-body connection, the trauma-informed piece. So this is all a big part of the training. It's about 10 hours of the training. And then we go through all the positions, how to touch. We do a class demo. We talk about marketing. So the training is very comprehensive. It's 25 hours. We do have a virtual one where you can do it 100% virtually, but you do turn in videos of yourself. You get feedback from your peers that are in the course. You get feedback from your master trainer. So that one is still very interactive. And then we also have an in-person version where you do a lot of the work online, and then we come together in person, and that's where we practice instead of the videos and stuff. So they're both 25 hours. And then we have several other trainings, but the main one is the trauma-informed training, and that one's 8 hours, and it's completely online at your own pace.
Oh, this is amazing. I love that there's also an online component. So if people wanted to travel and go to these trainings, where do you offer them?
So in 2020, we have training in Portland. We have one in Austin coming up next week. We have a couple in Portland. We have one in Las Vegas, Philadelphia, Chicago. And I think that's it for our in-person. And then we have our virtual training happening once a month. It starts on the first Monday of every month and runs for 3 weeks. And it is something that you have to, it's this amount of time. You have your assignments due on these days, but you could do like the January one, the February one, the March one, but you do have to stick to that one. And, it's not really like at your own pace. It is within those 3 weeks, but it's not something that you can like sign up for the January one, but not turn in your stuff until like December, know? So, yeah. And they're approved by NCBTMB. We have 10.5 hours approved by NCBTMB. And then they're, all 25 hours are approved by Yoga Alliance. So they would, count towards your CEs for yoga teachers.
Clarify, what's the NC? What's that?
That is the National Certified. What does that stand for? It's for massage therapists in the United States.
Yes,
so.
I've seen it. I know it has to do with massage, but I was like, I don't know what that is. We'll see if we can find a link and put it in our show notes.
Yes. Yeah. It's a mouthful of letters.
So it's like the continuing education for massage therapists. So massage therapists could also take.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's fantastic. If yoga teachers want to connect with the two of you and study with you, what is the best website for them to go to?
The best way that they can connect with us is through our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/Yomassage. And Tiffany and I are on there like almost every day doing videos, connecting with everyone. We're also really active on our Instagram at Yomassage and our Facebook page. So Instagram and then the Facebook group, especially the Facebook group, is really where, you're going to hear a lot from us.
Oh, that's great. So teachers could tune in to the Facebook group and see some videos of this and get some information.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Connect with other people who've taken the training and all that. So
yeah, I know that we have a lot of yoga teacher listeners who still incorporate touch and also who love to receive touch. These are some of my favorite trainings are ones like I remember signing up for my Thai yoga massage training and thinking, oh yeah, like I do this, but then I receive that.
Exactly. I know trainings are so nice because you get touched for like half the time, Yeah.
But my first week, I was like, all right, nobody touched me when I get home now. It's like I had reached the limit, but then beyond for a bit. But no, I think it's like a really nice way to refuel, recharge when we can take a training like that. That's
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm so happy that you're talking about the importance of touch. We are, that's our mission, is to get the word out there about how important it is in your, emotional health and well-being. So we're just so happy that, that you're bringing it up.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is easy to see in the massage therapy field. You can see, all right, we know, you wouldn't show up for a massage and say, oh my gosh, that person just touched me.
Right.
You know what you're signing up for, and you've added that now and the training. So I also really appreciate that you bring massage mentality and training into this. So thank you both for your time today. This has been really wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shannon.
No, thank you so much.
Alrighty, connected yoga teachers, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts after hearing this episode with Tiffany and Katherine? How do you use touch, or how do you not use touch in the one-on-one sessions or the group classes that you lead? I'm super curious to hear your take on this, and you can share your thoughts on our show notes page. To see the show notes, go to theconnectedyogateacher.com/159, and all of the links are there, including a link to Yomassage, so that you can check this out and really see where is this training offered and how is it put together. One thing I really appreciated with this episode today, Connected Yoga Teachers, was this idea of consent being an entire class, that we could sign up for a class and we knew that mindful touch was going to be part of it, and we could show up and enjoy touch if that's what we are looking for. If you are wanting to hang out in person, Connected Yoga Teachers, I will be at the Toronto Yoga Conference and Show Friday, April 3rd from 6 to 8 p.m., co-presenting with my friend Amanda McKinney, who, by the way, let me share a little personal note, I just took to the airport this morning. So Amanda flew here on Friday. Today, as I'm recording this, it's Wednesday. And we had such a good time together. We were mapping out the presentation for the Toronto Yoga Show. We're also doing a one-day workshop for the people in our memberships. And we were looking at our businesses. So Amanda helped me with my business. I helped her with her business. And it was the first time that we ever met in person. So if you're not sure who Amanda McKinney is, we've had her on the podcast. She's become a really close friend of mine, a biz bestie of mine, and she really knows how to hold me accountable to the things I'm doing in my business. And this weekend was the very first time that we've met in person, which feels really odd when we talk most days. And I just was reflecting on how we met, how grateful I am that we met, and that we both really get our businesses. We both work with yoga teachers. I'm also very grateful that instead of there being a competition element, we see opportunities for collaboration. So you hear me go on about this over and over again. Collaboration over competition is such an amazing thing. If there is a yoga teacher in your area, or a PT or a massage therapist, see how you can collaborate together. Today's episode with Tiffany and Katherine really highlights how two people can come together and create something. So it might mean that you're just reaching out to a fellow yoga teacher to go out for tea and to just chat about the challenges of being a yoga teacher. See if it's a good fit for you. See if it brings out the best in you and helps you in your business. That's when you know you've got a great collaboration going. So if you want to hang out with Amanda and I over the conference weekend, the Toronto Yoga Conference weekend, again, it's April 3rd from 6 to 8 that we present, but we will be there April 2nd to the 5th. We'll be there all weekend. Our goal is to connect with as many yoga teachers as possible in person, really have fun, maybe go out for dinner with some yoga teachers. If you want to join us, make sure that you message me. A really quick way to get me a message is there's a button on my website that says leave Shannon a voicemail. It's over on the right-hand side of the connectedyogateacher.com. And it is one of the best ways to leave me a message, and then I can leave you one back. If you are wanting to take the Yoga for Pelvic Health training in Meaford, Ontario, it's happening September 19th and 20th, and there are a few spaces left. If you're interested in this, make sure that you sign up soon. Spaces are filling fast. A huge shout out of thanks to our team over here at the Connected Yoga Teacher, Suzanne, Crunch, Nick, and Sinead. Thank you for all of the work that you do. You made today's episode possible. And thank you also to you, dear listener. This podcast would not exist without you listening. I am going to sign off. I'm actually going to need a nap after driving Amanda to the airport and waking up at 3 a.m. I'll have a little afternoon power nap and I'll be ready to go. So that's one way that I'm taking care of myself. I want to know, what will you be doing this week to care for yourself, maybe stay connected to yourself, to your yoga practice, and to your community so that you can share the yoga that lights you up.